This program's brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Large or small, Virginia farmers work year-round to help put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.
Hi everybody, welcome to Virginia Farming. I'm Amy Rocher. This week we travel to Berryville to catch up with Joyce and Travis Miller and see how they make hickory syrup on Ag Insights. Then Mark Viette has tips on caring for hollies when we go in the garden. We'll also have the Ag Calendar, a Minute in the Field video, and of course, your Ag News of the Week, all on this edition of Virginia Farming. Avian influenza has been discovered in Indiana. This flu, however, is a different strain than the subtype that devastated poultry farms and wild birds in Iowa and Minnesota last year. And it's the first recorded instance of this particular strain found in North America. To date, all cases in all farms have been quarantined and the birds culled. State veterinarian Dr. Richard Wilkes stresses that while Virginia does not currently have any positive cases of avian influenza, biosecurity practices are of utmost importance. He said this applies both to commercial growers and backyard flock owners. So I guess it's pretty timely that the National Chicken Council has launched Chicken Check-In. It's a website to provide answers to questions about U.S. chicken production. NCC Vice President Tom Super said the mission of the Chicken Check-In is to provide those who have questions with the level of information they want regarding the care and safety of the chicken they eat. NCC hopes to build consumer trust by having open conversations and inviting Americans to ask the questions they have now and in the future as they learn more about chicken production. The site features videos that take viewers onto poultry farms and into commercial poultry houses and show practices similar to meat chicken production on the Delmarva Peninsula. This site also includes frequently asked questions sections and recipes, as well as recommendations for safe poultry handling and storage. Well, there's no doubt that genetics play a big role in the beef industry, but are you selecting the best genetics for your environment? The American Angus Association's Jenna McRell has more.
Human nature likes betting on the fastest racehorse.
But Angus breeder Brian McCullough says that philosophy doesn't fit the cow-calf business.
Now, what we've learned in the beef cattle industry is these cattle have to survive in different environments. The Everglades of Florida compared to the high desert of Nevada is going to demand a different type of animal, okay? And so there is no such thing as the best animal.
Farmers and ranchers can select cattle that prove their value at all stages, from the ranch to the feed yard to the beef consumer. Today's technology only makes that easier.
It is up to us as producers to define what our situation demands, what our environment demands, what our feed resources are, and then we can still use genomically enhanced EPDs to meet the requirements of our environment and our customers' environment.
When people ask the breeder what is the best bull right now, he has an inquiry of his own.
The real question is, what do you want that bull to do for your herd of cows, and then use the EPDs, genomically enhanced EPDs, to select that population of bulls that are going to do what you need your cows to do.
I'm Jenna McRell.
Thanks, Jenna. Virginia's estimated agricultural production numbers for 2015 are in and look something like this. Corn production was down 5%, soybeans were down 15%. Cotton production was down 35% from last year. Flue-cured tobacco was down 8%. Dark fire-cured tobacco was down 21% from the previous year, and burley tobacco production was down 18%. Virginia peanuts were down 13% from last year. Alfalfa hay production was down 12%, while other hay production in Virginia was unchanged from last year. Syrup made from the bark of hickory trees. It sounds a little odd, but it's turned into a sweet business for Falling Bark Farm. We'll see how it's made straight ahead on Ag Insights. Today we're visiting Berryville, Virginia, and we're in the home of Joyce and Travis Miller. Now they're the owners and makers of Wildwoods Hickory Syrup. They've been on the show before, but we wanted to come back so we could share with you how they make the syrup. It's a really amazing story. Joyce and Travis, thank you so much for having us today.
Great, welcome.
Thank you.
To our place.
Now, Wildwoods Hickory Syrup has changed. You've changed the name. Tell us what the new name is and why it's changed.
Well, we initially started our little business going to a farm market. So Wildwoods Hickory Syrup came about just kind of made up driving down the road, thought it was clever for the type of product that we had, and there was no really thought into this being a viable business. And as the good fortune has come to us that the business has grown, we thought we should at least research and see if there was any infringement on someone else's business, and we discovered that there, yes, was a Wildwoods Wildwoods natural food producer in the United States. So we thought, well, let's do the right thing and pick a new name, get it trademarked and registered, and move forward from there.
And now it is Falling Bark Farm.
That's
Right.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for our viewers who may not have seen the show you were on before, you guys make syrup out of hickory bark, like this bark that's sitting right here.
That's correct. Now that particular bark has come from a shagbark hickory. Our product is a product of a variety of hickories, but this particular bark sheds naturally from the shagbark hickory tree. The other barks come to us as a byproduct from cabinet makers, woodworkers, where there's no further use left to the material, and then therefore we do the blend and developed our recipe around that availability.
So Travis, you mentioned a recipe, but what gave you the idea to say, hey, we should be able to make syrup out of hickory bark?
Well, we were actually looking at a lot of different products to take to the farm market. Hickory syrup was not on our list. So in researching those other ideas through the internet, looking for variations, things that tied in with all seasons, all different food groups, as you know, anything that you might search on the internet, sometimes you get a little distracted or off your focus and you end up with reading about something you had no intention on. And that's basically what had happened here. We started reading about hickory and ended up into hickory smoke, and then we ended up into the hickory syrup idea.
We also found out there weren't too many people in the country making it, so we knew we had the resources and decided, and Travis said, you know what, we can make this. We can really do it. And I said, okay, I'm on board. Here we go.
Yep. So we made the product, shared it with our family and friends, and got their feedback. And really, the whole product has been evolving probably for the first 12 months into what we found that we really preferred. And with the introduction to the farm market, exposed our product to a lot of folks, and we were well received, and we just took it from there.
And you guys have grown. About how many bottles do you, I don't know how you do your counts, is it weekly or monthly, but how much syrup do you sell?
We have a bookkeeping system now, so it's just a matter of click and
Okay.
everything comes up. So when we saw you last, we were selling about 11,000 units a year. This year, by the end of the year, we're on track to sell 30,000 bottles.
It's amazing. I want to talk a little bit about the bark. You prefer the shag hickory bark. Tell us why and where you get it from.
Well, the shagbark, initially that's what our product was made from, because the availability was a matter of just going out in the woods and foraging for it. So you would just look on the ground around the shagbark hickories and you would pack that up and haul it out. So we have since learned that the hickory bark in general is the highest plant source of magnesium. And once again, the bark from the shagbark is blended with other hickory barks because we now have some suppliers who have volunteered to help us on our way in keeping our inventory so that we can produce more volume.
Okay. And Joyce, you had mentioned to me off camera about some of your suppliers and how this has all come about. Share that story with our viewers.
We've been to street shows, and one time a young guy's mother came up to us and said, listen to the whole story, and she goes, you know, my son works for a company and they supply barbecue places with hickory wood. They have to pay somebody to haul the bark away. Would you guys be interested? We said, yeah, we'd be interested. Tell us where to be and when to be there. So we ended up showing up and asked them how much the bark would cost, and they said, you'd be doing us a favor by hauling it away.
Wow.
And since then, 2 or 3 other businesses, either lumber exporters or woodworkers.
Well, this does not look very appealing to eat. So I want you to walk us through the process. That's why we're here today. We want to see exactly how you guys do this. How do you take this and turn it into this delicious syrup?
Well, once the bark has come to us from the foragers or suppliers, we're going to take that and we just do a manual scrubbing of the bark, just like you might imagine with a scrub brush and water. Once that process has been completed, we'll take and do an open flame roasting. We initially started out using ovens, and now the open flame process seems to be a little more efficient and gives us what we thought was a better tasting product. So once that has been done, we'll go ahead and do our extraction. We have either an aging or resting process that goes on after the extraction's been done. We'll take that particular product and filter it out. We do multiple filterings on that. Then it's brought in and heated to 211 degrees with an appropriate amount of sugar that's been regulated with a hydrometer. After that, it's filtered for the last time, and then it's bottled in excess of 185 degrees. That's our base product. If it was something that involved brandy adding, we would do that during the cooking process. The alcohol is gone, and that just becomes an infusion of flavor at that point. If it's the one that you see here in front, that has been actually produced. It's been stored in used rye whiskey barrels from a local distillery, Catoctin Creek Distillery in Purcellville, Virginia. After 100 days, that's taken back out of the barrels, reprocessed again, and then bottled. And that's what you see here on the table for us.
Now, how many different flavors or varieties of this syrup do you offer? Because you just talked, we have whiskey that's been infused from the whiskey barrel,
yes,
and brandy.
Yes.
And what are the others?
Well, we'll take the original product that I first spoke about, and we'll bottle it with a whole vanilla bean that we put down inside each bottle. And those vanilla beans that we use are certified organic. The longer the bean stays in the bottle, the more of that infusion that takes place. So that would be a vanilla infused hickory syrup. I mentioned we do one with brandy. We also do a combination of those two. We'll take the brandy syrup and we'll bottle it with that vanilla bean, so you have brandy and vanilla. So that's a total of 4 that we offer currently.
So every flavor of your syrup begins with the original hickory syrup.
That's correct.
And then you make changes to that according to the flavor.
That's correct. That's our baseline product there.
Now, last time we talked, you guys were doing this by yourselves because you were supposed to have retired, and then you came up with this idea and all of a sudden it took off. Well, since then, you've tripled your production. Is it just still the 2 of you doing all this?
Right now, pretty much it's the 2 of us. Every now and then we get some volunteers to help at a show, so we can go to two shows on one day, and every now and then we have some people come in to stir the pot a little bit and help us make some syrup. But right now we're at a crossroads, I think, aren't we?
Sure.
And we have to decide whether we're going to go bigger and hire people, or if we're going to stay the same. We have to make a few decisions.
Well, we're sitting in your kitchen, which is also your production plant.
Right.
You're making all your syrup right here. You're bottling all your syrup right here. So do you need to move out of this to get into a bigger area to accommodate the demand you've had?
Well, that's what we're exploring right now. Joyce and I have struggled about what is the right thing to do, because we recognize that this point in our life that more may not always be better, as we develop the business. So right now what we're doing is just taking it day by day. We're taking steps currently to expand the facility, and that would in turn allow us to bring in additional help on a regular basis, and then allow us to be able to make decisions about should we work to expand the business, or does that just actually give us more free time, or to take care of the other details that sometimes get missed.
Now you guys do private label syrups as well for a lot of tourist venues in Virginia.
Right, mostly historical locations.
Tell us about that. Who has private labels for you guys?
We're expanding that all the time. Right now we have Belgrove Plantation, Frontier Culture Museum, Morven Park in Leesburg. We have Mount Vernon, Monticello, Woodrow Wilson Library and Museum in Stanton, and Poplar Forest in Forest, Virginia. Thomas Jefferson's Poplar Forest. Yeah. That's our latest addition.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the other things we have sitting here on this table. Let's start with the honey. This is premium raw honey with cayenne and lime. So what's the story behind the honey? Because this doesn't come from the bark, does it?
No, it doesn't. The honey, we do have bees ourselves, okay. And we first got involved on the bees, one to do our part to help stabilize the population here in the country, where we understand that 50% of all the honeybees in America no longer are here. So a lot of folks would approach our booth when we were doing direct marketing thinking we had honey, and then learning that the product available was syrup. So we thought one day, well, we'll take some of our honey. So we did that. Now that has been expanding quite rapidly as well. All the honey is a raw honey. It's just had a light filtering to remove, we'll say, bee parts, wings and legs and wax, and it's never been heated. So what makes us different than most places in the honey area is that we're offering these different infusions. The one you read was a chili and lime, which has become quite popular. A lot of people use that as a something to glaze at the end for a little caramelization, or even to use in a salad dressing. So that's just been an addition to the family of products that we were offering with the syrups. And our most recent adventure really has been the coffee beans. We take green coffee beans and we allow them to become enriched inside of used rye whiskey barrels. Once that's been completed, they're locally roasted, and that's a product we're now offering.
Well, it's wonderful, and I think that you're making such a good product, and people obviously are liking it, and you're doing a super job with it.
Well, thank you very much.
We appreciate that.
Right now we're partnering with maybe 160 different businesses, whether it be restaurants or retail centers, anything from big box stores. Yeah. Could be Whole Foods, or like Joyce says, health food stores, mom and pops, or Christmas tree farms, you know, have been taking notice and in the marketplace to offer something besides Christmas trees, and we tie in nicely with that season.
And also the folks who are helping us with our coffee beans, the roasters, Black Dog Coffee in West Virginia, they roast our coffee beans for us.
Yeah, because some of the uses are in hot drinks, whether it's coffee or tea, for the syrups, you know, and of course that ties in nicely with the honeys as well.
Okay, all right. Now, if someone wants more information on your products or where they can buy them, where should they go?
Well, on our website we have...
We can either do fallingbarkfarm.com or wildwoodshickorysyrup.com. We still trade as that until this whole transition takes place. So you can go there, and under where to find us, we have many of our supporters listed there. Okay. Speaking of supporters, we really would like to thank everybody out there who supported us this.
Yeah, we continue to grow exponentially.
Yeah, and every single person who's ever bought a bottle of syrup or some honey, coffee beans, vanilla extract, and just, they're our biggest cheerleaders.
Travis and Joyce, thank you so much for having us out today. It's really been a pleasure.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome anytime.
We'll be right back. Hollies offer that lush dark greenery throughout the year, and the red berries add a burst of color, especially in the winter. Hollies do best when pruned properly. With tips, here's Mark Viette.
Some of the plants that we plant in the garden might be small, but they get big. This is a variety of American holly, a native holly, and this variety is Merry Christmas. It's filled with beautiful berries. Now, I pruned this tree about 3 years ago, and I pruned it hard. Usually you can prune some of your hollies hard in late winter, maybe early spring, right before new growth begins. And I'll reach in, I'll take usually these pruners for this type of pruning. Again, this is the more rejuvenation pruning, the more drastic type of pruning. As you can see, this holly is beginning to block the windows. At one point, this holly will grow all the way out to here, and that just dwarfs the house and it's too big. So you reach in, and this is a great way to get your exercise. And I'm just going to cut like this, and I'm going to go all the way around the holly and do this. And it really does look drastic, but this is what the plant needs to be able to stay within its bounds and not be too big, because once they block the windows, you're losing the benefit of your holly. And if you look carefully in here, you can see where it was pruned 3 years ago all the way back to this point. So I am cutting it to about 20 inches from the main trunk, and I'll go up and down this whole tree here, and up here, for example, I'll do the same thing. And this plant will grow back and look just like it does now in about 3 years. And if I do find any like praying mantis eggs and things that, you know, and I have to prune them, I stick them back in the holly so they can hatch out. Now, there is another type of pruning that you can perform on hollies in the middle of summer, and that's more of a minor type of pruning, and I'll show you that right now. This holly here was also pruned severely 3 years ago. What I'm going to do is do more of a minor pruning. You can do some minor pruning on hollies in July. It's a great month. So I would just come in here, and instead of cutting branches way back in late winter or early spring, I'm just going to come in here and prune some of these branches, sort of to, you know, allow the light to come into the window. At the same time, you want to be able to see out the window. And what I'm doing is pruning anywhere from 6 to 12 inches off of this tree. It's just come in here and tip these branches. Just like this. And you can see already that it's really opened up this whole area, which, and I really like to prune in midsummer on my hollies, but again, it's a minor form as compared to the severe form. But this really keeps your hollies within bounds. You know, the other choice is to replace the holly, which I really don't like to do. The minor pruning also allows for the birds to nest in this holly during the spring. So I wait till the birds have nested, had their young, because doves and blue jays will nest in this, and then I do the midsummer pruning like this to keep it in bounds. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
Taking a look at the Ag calendar, the 2016 Cow-Calf Conference will be held Thursday, February 25th at the Weir's Cave Community Center. The focus of the conference will be on maintaining profitability and will seek to answer the questions about what the future holds for both feeder and female markets and provide positive action steps to prepare producers for the new market paradigm. Register by Tuesday, February 23rd using the contact information on your screen. That does it for our show. Thanks so much for watching and have a great week. I'm Amy Rocher for Virginia Farming. Check out Virginia Farming on Facebook. Virginia Farming's Facebook page is a great way to stay connected with Virginia agriculture. You might even find some humor there too. You'll find links to events and happenings all over the Commonwealth that are of interest to farmers and consumers alike. So connect with us and share your stories and photos with the Virginia farming community and keep up to date on all things agriculture. Virginia Farming on Facebook.
From apples to zucchini, Virginia farmers work hard to put food on your table, and Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.